session already. We're in session in about 3 minutes. They're praying and saying the Pledge of Allegiance right now. Oh, they need to. Thank you. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm Rep. Deb Butler, and I'm here representing House District 18, but more importantly, all the women across this state.
That's right.
We're here today with representatives from the ERA Alliance, as well as my legislative colleagues. I see Senator Erica here, who believe that the time for ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment in North Carolina is upon us. That is why we have filed and why we support House Bill 1072, entitled North Carolina Adopt Equal Rights Amendment. Now, I want to thank the member organizations of the ERA Alliance for their commitment to equality under the law. It takes commitment to sustain a movement, and they are dogged in that commitment. So thank you to the American Association of University Women of North Carolina, the League of Women's Voters of North Carolina, NCERA, North Carolina Business and Professional Women, North Carolina National Organization for Women, NC Women United, Ratify ERA NC, the Women's Forum of North Carolina, the YMCW of Asheville, and I am sure that I have omitted someone, and I apologize for that. As you may know, the Equal Rights Amendment was passed by the United States Congress in 1972, about the time I was entering 5th grade. It's a long time ago. And was submitted to the states for ratification, but it wasn't conceived in the 70s. We all know that. It's a legacy begun with Alice Paul and the suffragettes in the early 20s. And think about this, folks. That is almost 100 years ago. 100 years ago. To date, 37 states have ratified the ERA, with Illinois just weeks ago being the 37th. So what is the significance of that? Well, that means that North Carolina is poised to be the 38th state. I'm assuming that those of you in this room understand what that means. So that puts us in a very unique and historic position to be the state that meets that 3/4 threshold for the passage of the Equal Rights Amendment. So I believe the time for passage is upon us.
Yeah.
We know that it's supported by the majority of Americans.
Yes.
The polling on that is through the roof.
Yep.
The majority of American women are more engaged, of course, and committed to the political process than I can honestly ever remember. It is being said that this is the year of the woman. That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And I believe next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. Right. Women are running for office across this country and in North Carolina in large numbers, and they are winning. Did anybody see that race in New York last night? Somebody's having a bad day in New York. And the woman's having the good day. I believe in large part because women in this country are tired of the coarseness, the incivility, and the misogyny that we are witnessing in politics, and determined to be a part of the solution instead. Yeah. And when women and men of good conscience come together as equals, we will make better law for all North Carolinians and all of our citizens across this great country, and we will ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. I'll turn it back over to my colleague, Senator Erica Smith, and thank you so much. And I'll race right back upstairs and try to beat the bad guys.
Before they leave, we want to recognize other members of the House of Representatives who are here. Representative Mary Belt.
We got to do a vote.
Yes, Representative Joe John.
Yay.
Representative Marsha Lori. Who stands for the ERA. Thank you. We do not stand alone today. We also have Senator Mike Woodard from Durham.
Yay.
Joyce Waddell from Charlotte. And of course, we all know Senator Floyd McKissick, who has been carrying the mantle for the ERA for a very long time. I will bring brief comments, and then we will turn it over for other legislators who may want to have a word. But we thank you for standing with us on today. I am Erica Smith. I represent 8 counties in eastern North Carolina: Bertie, Chewan, Edgecombe, Hertford, Martin, Northampton, Tyrrell, and Washington counties.
All right.
As a woman, I'm one of 5 girls and 1 boy in my family. We grew up on a farm, and the girls were expected to work just as hard as the boys were expected to work. I gathered that strong work ethic, and I became a mechanical engineer and worked for the Boeing Company in Seattle, Washington. In my years of working, I have had to deal with and struggle with inequity in the workplace. I am as smart and as capable and as productive as any engineer that I work with. But too many times, the male engineers earn more money than I earn for doing the same work. I am glad we are here today. We also have the women of the NAACP, and we have women for the ERA out of Georgia. And I would be remiss if I did not thank Marina Grawl for all that she is doing to make sure that we can advance the ERA. The Me Too movement and the Time's Up campaign have underscored the importance of having strong legal protections for women's rights. The ERA is the legal foundation from which we can fight for and win equal pay for equal work, and be free of sexual harassment and assault, and end gender discrimination once and for all. As a woman of the law, I know that God created us equal in the image of who God is. Laws and judicial rulings can be repealed and overturned. Without the ERA giving a constitutional backbone to gender equality, the political and judicial victories women have achieved over the past 200 years remain vulnerable to reversal. We must codify the ERA into our most sacred document, the Constitution. Enshrining equality for the sexes in the Constitution wouldn't immediately solve every issue, but it would provide an important bulwark against backward movement. It is a signal to the courts and the country that gender equality is a mandate. It is the morally right thing to do. In North Carolina and all states, women working full-time year-round earn less than men. Median annual earnings for women in North Carolina are $36,400, placing the state 32nd in the nation, compared with $45,000 for men. Almost $9,000 more dollars, average pay, are earned by men in the workplace over women. If the median annual earnings of women and men in North Carolina who are employed full-time year-round continue to change at the rate they did between 1959 and 2015, the gender wage gap in North Carolina will not close until 2060. But we are not going to wait that long. We are going to start today. When we look at the experiences of women and men across this state, women now, according to the report just recently released by a women's study about the position of women in North Carolina, we are not at pay equity. 54% of us are in the workplace. When you look at the aggregate income for out of the lifespan of men and women on average in our nation, men earn $960 million, whereas women only earn $638 million. And that is a differential that only impacts women. Men in the workplace with children earn more than men without children. However, the reverse and converse is true for women. Women in the workplace with children are penalized and earn far less money than anyone else. And lest I go into the further statistics that show that women of color only earn 62 and Hispanic women 54 cents on the dollar that a white male earns. This is unacceptable, and it is time for us to bring the ERA together so that we can fight. I want to inspire you today in the words of Sojourner Truth, who said, "Ain't I a woman?" And when she asked the question, I answered Sojourner with a poem, a little lyric that I put together myself. I work hard as a man, harder than a mule. And while the water is troubled, we're going to step in the pool. And I'm going to shake every place I go through, because if a man has rights, then a woman should too. Of ratifying the ERA.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. it's hard to follow that. But I've been following in footsteps for many years, and I've been fighting for equal rights amendment for many years. Back in the 70s, I was right here in the North Carolina General Assembly. Wasn't a member at that time, but supporting the passage of ERA going back then when Eleanor Sneal was in charge of the National Organization of Women. And I remember meeting her and advocating for it back in that time frame. The time has come, and the time is now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right? The time is now.
Yeah.
I mean, this amendment lay dormant for many, many years. I mean, after Indiana passed it, we had decades go past before we got one new momentum. But now we have Nevada, which has passed ERA. We now have Illinois that has passed ERA. And you hear about North Carolina being 38th in teacher pay. If we're going to be 38 for something, it's going to be 38 for passing the ERA. And when it says first and freedom on our license plate, it's going to finally start to mean something. That's what we got to be concerned about. It's almost unconscionable to me that this is debatable. I cannot believe that in the year 2018, we don't have widespread support for recognizing the fact that a gender is equal. It's almost inconceivable. Almost everybody has a mother or a sister or somebody who is female in their lives. Somebody that touches them. And what do we know? Yeah, when it comes to equal pay for equal work, it does not exist. You're getting 78 cents on a dollar when it comes to females in the workforce. And we know that if they have to reveal their pay when they go and apply for jobs, it's more likely that when they get that job, they'll be paid less. And that's wrong. It's unconscionable. It's something that none of us should accept. And what do we know today? There are more women who are single heads of household than there have ever been before, and they're making that decision by choice. But we deny them equal pay for equal work. We're making certain institutionally, societally, that those children that are growing up in those families don't have equal access to opportunities as well. They're going to end up being poor, and that's wrong. So I hope today that we can renew our commitment. I hope that we can go out in November. And I'm going to say to you right now, I don't care if somebody's running as a Democrat. I don't care if they're running as a Republican. If they're not on board in supporting the Equal Rights Amendment, you need to hold them accountable.
Absolutely.
You need to hold them accountable.
Absolutely.
Make sure where they stand. Make certain that they say that if they're elected, they will come here and vote in support of ERA and its passage in North Carolina. And they shouldn't be timid about it. They shouldn't be coy about it. They shouldn't say, I'll wait and see, or yeah, I support it, but I can't vote for it. We'll see what happens. That is not the kind of folks we need elected in North Carolina General Assembly. We need people elected who will stand forth courageously, stand forth on principle, stand forth on conviction, and stand up for rights for all genders in our society, for equal pay, for equal work, for equal benefits, and to have the same privileges under the law that men have today.
Thank you. I'm Joyce Waddell from Charlotte, North Carolina, representing Senate District 40. I've been in the trenches for over 40 years, working for this.
Thank you.
So the Equal Rights Amendment guarantees the equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. The Equal Rights Amendment was passed by Congress on March 22nd, 1972 and sent to the states for ratification. So North Carolina, what are you waiting on?
That's right.
What are you waiting for?
That's right.
Let's get busy. Currently, 37 states have approved the Equal Rights Amendment. On May 30, 2018, Illinois became the 37th state to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. North Carolina, what are you waiting on? Got to get busy.
That's right.
Everyone should receive equal treatment and not be discriminated against. You know, they say women are to be seen and not heard. That's unacceptable. That's right. Women are the backbones of our society, our workforce, and we must pay women for the work that we do.
Yep.
The saying says women make up the majority of those who make decisions. Sometimes it's in the background. So let's get busy, North Carolina. Without the Equal Rights Amendment, women will have to fight long, inexpensive, and difficult legal battles to prove their rights are equal to those of the other sex. Do we want to fight legally? No.
No.
The Equal Rights Movement is just as important today as it was when it was first written by Alice Paul in 1923. North Carolina, what are we waiting for?
Yeah.
And so I say to us today, we have the numbers. You are here, and I'm impressed with these organizations as we stand together. We're united.
That's right.
ERA, we need you. Women here came as far as Georgia, South Carolina. We're strong, committed, and we must continue to stand together.
Yes,
Because we must pass this Equal Rights Amendment.
that's right.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mike Woodard, and I represent Senate District 22, Durham, Person, and Caswell counties. And I'm proud to stand with my colleagues from the General Assembly and all of you assembled today as we fight for the Equal Rights Amendment.
Thank you.
This week in the North Carolina General Assembly, we're going to do some bad things to the North Carolina Constitution. You know what? It's time we did something good to the U.S. Constitution. And the Equal Rights Amendment is the thing to do. In recent weeks, I've had 4 women who mean a lot to me on my mind. One's my wife. Our 29th wedding anniversary was Monday. And she is the most remarkable woman I've ever known, and I'm standing here for her. But I also think about 3 women who have been heroes, or more accurately, sheroes to me. One is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And if y'all haven't seen the movie Barbie Jean, you need to go. Because Justice Ginsburg has been fighting for this issue, and you'll see documented in that wonderful movie of her life the work that she's done. The second shero I've thought about is Pauli Murray.
Yes.
My wife is a pastor at the church at Pauli Murray's Girlhood Church, her childhood church in Durham. And in a few weeks, we're going to be celebrating Pauli Murray's Saint Day for the Episcopal Church at our church. And y'all come July 29th, St. Titus Episcopal Church, Moline Street, and come celebrate the life and work of Pauli Murray, who, as many of you know, was a pioneer in so many fields of endeavor, but a founding member of the National Organization of Women. My third shero is one I think about often, the amazing Fannie Lou Hamer, who always said, "I am sick and tired of being sick and tired." And y'all, like Senator McKissick, we were both young men then, and his hair's always been black, mine's turning gray, but it was brown then. But I remember very well in 1972 as a young teenager working on this issue, and it meant a lot to me then and it meant a lot to me now. And y'all, I am sick and tired of having to fight for this thing all these years later. And now is the time. Let us be number 38 and make that 38 something good.
That's right.
Okay. I want to mention all of the women across North Carolina. Call out where you're from. I believe we have some people from Asheville,
Asheville, Duck,
Yeah.
Guilford County,
Guilford County, Goldsboro,
Cumberland County, Greenville,
Pinehurst, Emerald Isle,
Moore County,
Moore County,
Greenville, Pitt County,
Greenville, Pitt,
Cumberland County.
Winston-Salem,
Cumberland, Aberdeen,
Winston-Salem,
Winston-Salem,
Durham,
Durham.
and 40 or 50 women outside the window.
I listened to my colleagues talk about being teenagers. In 1972, I was maybe 2.5 years old. And this is an intergenerational discussion and fight for us. I'm going to call up my capable legislative intern, Lucy Russell, who is a rising junior at UNC Chapel Hill, to come and share a few words about the University of North Carolina documenting the American South. And this may be the first woman to become President of the United States of America.
No pressure.
I don't want to wait that long.
Second or third, second or third.
So as Senator Smith said, I'm a junior at UNC Chapel Hill. I study public policy and education, so it is an honor to work for the only public educator in the North Carolina Senate. So in my research, looking at the path that the ERA has taken in North Carolina, I came across this digital publishing initiative called Documenting the American South that provides access to items related to Southern history, literature, and culture. And one interview featured North Carolina's first woman in a state cabinet level position, Grace Jemison Rower. Grace was the first woman to serve as a woman in the cabinet position in North Carolina and established the North Carolina Women's Political Caucus. The interviewer asked her in 1971, what issues have emerged in the 1970s in North Carolina as women's issues? Grace replied, economic, equal pay for equal work. Political, in terms of women being elected to legislative and county seats. Even then, what was beginning to emerge was daycare, the need for daycare and child support. What's astounding is that it is 2018, and these issues are still here.
Yeah.
This is far overdue. I just turned 20 on the day that Illinois ratified the ERA. So I can't imagine having to explain to my children why we didn't do this in this moment now.
Absolutely.
I don't want to explain to my granddaughters, we didn't fight for this. We have a really unique opportunity right now, and the responsibility has shifted on our shoulders. So for the women and men who have walked before us, fearlessly advocating for this, thank you. We stand here today because of the trail that you have blazed, and we're here to finish this fight in your honor.
I want to thank the ERA Alliance for National Now, everyone who has come together to join us today in this valuable fight for 38. So we are excited today, and we thank you for your attendance here, and let's continue the work of doing what we need to do. From 1923 to 1973, and now 45 years later, we're here in 2018, and we are posed to become the state to make it 38 and ratify the ERA.